Officers are not always known for having a good reputation. This policeman, on the other hand, is a fantastic example. Hurst James, who worked as a police officer in Savannah and other towns in the U.S. state of Georgia. He didn't have much experience in NBA history because he was new. However, he undoubtedly managed to make his mark every day. He was passionate about his work and took it pretty seriously. He was aware that cops may not always have the best reputation. Nevertheless, he resolved that he would never be like those awful cops. His top priority was always to assist and defend others. That's why he decided to become a cop. He never wanted to betray his responsibility or abuse his power, and he couldn't figure out why. His co-workers set a terrific example for James. He enjoyed his co-workers and appreciated that they shared similar perspectives and ideals. He learned a lot from them, and others would soon learn from him as well. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and click the notification option to be inspired by these real-life experiences on a daily basis. Now, let's get back to the story. He worked for the Savannah Police Department, or SPD. One day, he and his co-workers were assigned to the Kohler-Brownsville neighborhood. They got a call about a young man strolling the streets by himself. He appeared odd and unsettled. James automatically deemed his own children. He had 2 of them and took great care of all of them. He also had a son with Down syndrome, whom he always looked after. His weak place was children. The thought of a tiny child running around the streets made him feel dreadful. He hoped it was nothing catastrophic and that the youngster would be able to return home to a safe family. As a cop, he'd seen a lot of sad and horrific things. He was just hoping it wasn't one of them. Children are meant to be safe and secure. They went to the region in search of the child with his co-workers. It was being discussed. They glanced about and shortly located a young youngster who appeared to be in trouble. At the time, all of the police were concerned and offered to provide. It was around 10:00 a.m. at the time. They scooped up the child and drove him to the hospital to make sure he was all right. They were hoping that nothing awful would occur to him. The child was just 16 months old and did not appear to be in good health. The child was screaming and appeared to be distressed. He couldn't stop crying. Everyone around him felt sorry for him and wished he'd get better soon. James was heartbroken to see a 16-month-old boy in such circumstances. Nobody understood what was happening to the youngster before they found him, so no one knows what he had to go through. All they wanted to do was help him feel better. The youngster was transported to the hospital's emergency room. The physicians examined him and performed tests to ensure that he was in good health. This frightened and upset the youngster even more. James observed how uneasy he appeared. He's a poor little thing. He couldn't handle seeing him like this any longer and asked the doctors if he could hold a child. This boy could have been his own son, so he treated him appropriately. When the medic replied yes, he picked up the tiny kid and transported him to the hospital. The officer was still dressed in his full-body armor, which was pretty hefty. He decided to lie down on the hospital bed to make sure they were both comfortable. The officer promptly calmed the youngster down and the test continued while he was reassured throughout. The youngster was so relaxed that he fell asleep directly in the agent's strong protective arms. The youngster was then placed in the care of the Georgia Department of Family and Children Services. Everything is fine. The child is now in the process of finding a new home and perhaps becoming a member of a happy family soon. It's unclear what happened to the youngster. Somebody captured a photo of James holding this tiny boy, and his action made everyone around him smile. Thus, someone decided to capture the photo. The cops discovered an abandoned youngster on the street, and this image of what James did went viral on the internet. James has garnered plaudits and recognition from all across the world. The general populace admired his remarkable serenity. Some people thanked James and stated that this is how police officers should conduct themselves. He provided an excellent example. Thousands more people chimed in to say, "Bless him." Others felt sorry for the child and wondered why parents had children if they weren't going to take care of them. Fortunately, the boy came across this incredible father. James was perplexed by the compliments he received. He believes he was simply carrying out his duties. He also mentions that he isn't the only good version. His co-workers number in the hundreds, and he performs stuff like this very often. It's not an unusual occurrence. The one and only exception is that this behavior was videotaped and posted on the internet. He also emphasizes that this job entails much more than just following evil criminals. It is about serving everyone in the community and accomplishing everything citizens require of them. He thinks that by sharing this image, he will enlighten others and promote awareness of all the good they do. Robinson, Darrell aside from James, there's another good-hearted cop that helped a child. Here's the gist of it. Darrell Robinson of Green Bay, Wisconsin, adored children just as much as James Hurst. He was always concerned about the safety and health of the children in the community. He stumbled across an 8-year-old youngster who was expecting a family member to pick him up from school, but this never happened. He watched and waited until he was the lone child on the playground. The youngster seemed unconcerned and proceeded to play in the yard. He never got weary of playing, and if he became preoccupied, a family member might appear. In the meantime, the school was concerned about the youngster. No one had arrived to take him up after such a long time. What are they supposed to do now? Because the school was unable to contact his family, they opted to notify the Green Bay Police Department. Darrell Robinson was the officer dispatched to the school. He was familiar with this youngster and his family, and he was aware that the family situation was a little problematic. The boy's father is incarcerated. Despite his family's issues, the boy appeared to be a happy child with no worries. Darrell felt awful for the youngster because it was also his birthday. Despite the fact that he appeared to be in a pleasant mood, he didn't want the youngster to remember his birthday negatively, so he chose to celebrate with him. It was the least he could do, Darrell reasoned. He chose to transport the youngster in his patrol car. This piqued the boy's interest. He usually only played with police cars, so he was now seated. The youngster was having a good time on the ride and continued chatting about his birthday and other pleasant things. Darrell listened to him and had fun chats with him before deciding to take him to McDonald's, which he knew all the kids enjoyed. Darrell purchased a Happy Meal for the boy. The small boy liked the food and, of course, he liked playing with his Happy Meal toy. "What a fantastic birthday," he exclaimed, "Daich." Darrell also appreciated being with his son and seeing how happy he was. He'd now have some fond memories of his 8th birthday. He was an extremely sweet, intelligent, and amusing little guy. He was content as long as the boy was content. They remained at McDonald's for nearly an hour. Darrell also took him on a tour of the city, and after a little time, they were able to contact one of his family members, his grandfather. Darrell afterwards took the youngster to see his grandfather. The boy thanked the officer, and the two had a fantastic day together that they will never forget. Darrell didn't think he'd done anything special, despite the fact that this was something particular. He was just doing his job and doing what he was supposed to do. This tale went viral on the internet, and Darrell Robinson received several praises from individuals of all walks of life. Everyone complimented and appreciated him for making this little boy's day and helping him feel better, especially on his birthday. Darrell was perplexed by all of the compliments. It simply isn't caught all of the time and isn't acknowledged sufficiently. This was also the belief of James Hurst. Darrell also wishes that people would appreciate officers and public servants a little more because there is a lot that goes on that most people are unaware of. However, images and stories like this one enable the couple stay in contact with the youngster with whom he celebrated his birthday. He wanted to make sure he checked in on a regular basis to make sure everything was fine. And if the youngster wants to take another ride in the squad car or just hang out at the police station, he's always welcome. He is a smart and remarkable boy, and this police officer is equally so. Nobody can disagree that these are excellent police officers who lead by example. What would you do if you stumbled across an orphan child? Would you have responded similarly to James and Darrell? Let us know what you think in the comments section. We'd love to find out. We hope you enjoyed seeing this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone else who might enjoy it as well.